madness is this? The new server browser and rework to the custom games things is outstanding, and it gives an amazing amount of customization in Overwatch. So much so that this could bring hours upon hours of brand new content to the game that's user generated. Boss game modes, random matches, 500% on everything. It doesn't have every single bit of Overwatch customizable. You can't customize shields and armors and deployables, or making clip sizes smaller or larger, or disabling passives or alt fires. All these things I want to see being added. But even in its state right now, I decided I wanted to make something with this. Something really different and really cool. So in order to make something different, I decided to take something old and place it into something new. That being Team Fortress 2 Game Mode in Overwatch. It certainly is a very strange concept to behold. However, it's not just simply restricting all but 9 classes and saying these are the classes from there. I've done a lot more to the game, restricting certain abilities, making certain things done instead of this, movement speeds, health. All these things factor in and trying to recreate Team Fortress 2 in Overwatch. So in this video, I want to detail the game mode, the different tweaks and the different changes that have happened. It's still being worked on, and I'm still finding things that are underpowered and overpowered, and then changing them right back because apparently I was wrong. So it's not final, but this is just the best that I have it and what I currently have found to be the best way to play this mode. The exact numbers and percentages to this game mode changes will be in the description below. So I wanted to go down the list and talk about each of Overwatch's class counterpart in this game mode, and we'll start with Scout. Most people would assume that you'd use Tracer, but in this instance I found that Reaper works way better. Just make his health significantly lower, nerf his damage a little bit, and make him a little bit faster and no abilities. This really mimics how Scout plays with the shotguns rather than having an automatic weapon. Pharah is the obvious choice when it comes to Soldier, since no other class has a rocket launcher in the game. You basically make it so she can't fly, other than her passive ability, nerf her speed just a bit, and nerf her damage a little bit more. The only problem with Pharah is that she's a bit overpowered in the game mode because of the passive. Hopefully Blizzard will add the option to turn off passive abilities in the future. Many would assume that Mei would be the choice as the Pyro counterpart, but given her alt fire with the icicle, it was very difficult to pinpoint how much damage she really should do. It just wasn't good enough whenever you nerf it so far down on the primary side of it. But if you have it so high up, the alt fire can one-shot everything. So instead of having to worry about those things and the freezing aspect of Mei, I decided to go with Winston. Winston is more Pyro-like if you take off his jumping abilities and his shield. You make his damage a little bit more, up his speed a little bit, but make his health very, very low, and no abilities. This more accurately mimics Pyro, since he can just WM1 and walk into people. Junkrat's changes to become more like Demoman include making his health slightly less, making no traps, making damage a little bit less, and either turning off his mine or making it longer to deploy. Either would work, since it kind of would work with the kind of sticky bomb type thing, but you know, either way is fine to do with Junkrat, and you also increase his speed by a slight amount. Zarya was my go-to pick for creating heavy. Just nerf the damage by a little bit, have the speed about the same, and make the damage just slightly less. Because of that alt fire, it can do a lot of damage in one shot, and since most of the people's other health are reduced, that damage could just insta-kill people. Now, I have heard many times that Bastion should be heavy, and I have considered it, the only thing is that there's so many different variables that I have to consider when it comes to heavy, like being able to, like his transformation thing. Yeah, it's kind of like switching weapons, but his new abilities and stuff that he has is just something that has put me off from wanting to add him to them. I feel that Zarya fits the character more, since, of course, she's Russian. Torbjorn. Bet you can't guess which class this is supposed to be. Take all of his abilities away, minus his build turret, make the turrets cool down 0%, make his health a little bit less, his speed up a little bit, and his damage about half as much. This should make him more like the, spoiler alert, engineer in Team Fortress 2. Now the only problem is that since health is linked to the character and the deployables of that character, his turret also suffers the health loss, which I wish wasn't the case. And that's the same case for his damage too. Less damage, less turret damage. So his turret becomes kind of useless, and Torbjorn's kind of the weakest of the bunch in this game mode. Since Mercy is just the female medic, I've just been using her as the medic. Health at a little bit less, no angel, the speed quite higher, damage less, and healing less. Both of them are actually half. And it's funny because I didn't think to nerf the damage, because you don't think of Mercy being, you know, offensively capable. But it turns out if you don't nerf the damage, her other weapon can kill other classes with these health reductions very, very quickly. So it's very strange to hear you need to make Mercy do less damage. Widowmaker is the sniper, health at a little bit less, speed a touch higher, damage a little bit less, and no hook. Now, I wanted to keep in mind because it can resemble Girardi. So, to mimic Girardi even more, I made it so that the cooldown time was 20 seconds, which mimics how long it takes to get a full jar of Girardi back in Team Fortress 2. I have had recommendations to use Ana as the sniper, which would make kind of a Sydney Sleeper type character. And it's very interesting to think about. You just turn off the ability to heal allies and just make her as a sniper. It's something to look into. I haven't really finalized anything, so whatever you would assume to be the best for this, Widowmaker or Ana, you take your pick. Finally, we have Sombra. And I don't think I could ever make this game mode work as well as I have if Sombra was never released as a character. Thank goodness she was. Health a little bit less, no teleport, almost half damage, and speed quite a bit higher. The stealth cooldown that I wanted to keep is reduced to 0%, so that she can technically continually go invisible, like the Spy, Cloak and Dagger. Those are what I recommend to have as the 9 classes. I have mentioned the multiple cases of where you could switch out different characters to make a similarly working character like Winston, Ana, and stuff like that. But just from what I've said, the primary classes that I've talked about are the things that I would recommend to use for this. Now, there are other classes you could put into this to mimic certain weapons in the game. For example, you could recreate the Huntsman in some fashion by using Hanzo, or you could recreate Demoman by using Reinhardt. Very, very little HP and extreme speed to mimic that, but it sometimes doesn't work out very well because of the speed having to stick to the character as a whole. So customize this as you see fit, change what I have done, and maybe you'll figure out some way to make this game mode even better than I have done it. I am very excited for these things to come to the live server. At the time of this recording, they are not currently on the live server. The Year of the Rooster is still going on for about 3 or 4 more hours, and then it might be shut off, or it might be shut off right now. But it could happen that right after this recording, they could add it to the live server. But this stuff is basically the things that I saw from doing it all in the PTR. So I really recommend that you try this thing out. It's really, really fun. It's a bit different. It might be a little bit less paced, a little slower paced than Overwatch in itself, but I really had a blast doing this, and many people have loved to play this whenever I had this going on. So thank you all so much for watching. This has been HR Prime. Thanks for your time. God bless. Happy gaming.